Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast.
Where's Fielder? He's gone to the dogs.
Hey, it's time once again for the Gone to the Dogs podcast. Steve Fielder here with you once again. Got my good buddy Jerry Barker. How are you, Jerry?
I'm great. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great, buddy. It's good to hear your voice again. I looked back over the log here, and I knew that you'd been on the podcast once before. And, man, alive, I couldn't believe it. It's been, last October was a year. October 3rd of 23 was the last time that we recorded together. So time is moving on, but Trump's the president and all is good in the world, right?
That's right, yeah.
Well, it's good to hear from you, Jerry, and I appreciate you finding time today to catch up with me. I just kind of wanted to. One thing about these podcasts, it kind of give me the opportunity to call friends and get caught up of what's going on with them, and at the same time gets me a show in the process. So it's a win-win for me.
That's right.
Yeah, man. How's the weather been down there or up there in Kentucky here of late?
Well, it's been pretty warm this week. It's just started raining on my way home, so it's supposed to rain for another 2 or 3 days. It sure beats that zero weather, which we had about 2 weeks of that. So,
yeah,
you had some cold weather too, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we got a little cold snap down here. Weather temps in the 30s. Woke up one morning, I think it was 30. Of course, now up in the panhandle of Florida, they're known for their white sand on their beaches. Well, it was white, but it wasn't sand.
Yeah,
they got some snow up there. But anyway, I just wanted to catch up with you and see what's been going on with you. How was your hunting season this year?
Well, my wife said, I don't know what you're going to talk about. You ain't been hunting any.
They always have a way of kind of keeping us in line, don't they?
They do, yeah. They tell the truth a lot. But so anyway, I got a chance to go up and hunt with my buddy in Indiana, Marshall Keeney. So I hunted a couple of nights with him. And,
awesome.
We had a good hunt, had a good time. It's always good to go up there, but it's like everywhere else, the deer hunters are just pretty much put a stop to his hunting until, the neighbors get their deer. After they get their deer, then he can hunt. But
yeah,
we had one spot over on the Wabash River that we hunted, and my son actually knew a guy that he went to college with, and he got us permission up there on a farm, and it's a pretty good place to hunt. There's not a lot of woods, but there's enough woods for coons, and
yeah,
that's about the only place we had to hunt, really. So,
well,
I've been going up there for several years, and man, we used to go up there and we could hunt all night long, and never slow down. But now it's different. So.
Well, I've hunted along that Wabash River over the years quite a few times. Some of the times I remember we had plot days 2 or 3 times over the years at Marshall, Illinois, which is just west there of Terre Haute.
Right.
And so got to hunt along there. I remember we had a dog that swam the Wabash River one night. It wasn't my dog, but guy had to drive, Red Dog had to drive, I don't know how many miles he had to drive around to go to a bridge, I guess, cross the river and come back down and up or down, whichever the case. and get his dog. And I remember Larry Meeks with PKC had a place on the Wabash River that we'd go to and pleasure hunt sometimes. And just, over the years, several times, that's been good coon hunting on both sides of that river, over the years, a lot of coon hunters. So,
yeah, they are several. There's big timber on that farm where we hunt. It's big old huge cottonwoods, and there's a lot of oak trees in it too. So
yeah, were you hunting right along the river, or
just right on the river?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think my friend, I don't know if you know Bud Clarence Hood.
His place would be real close. I think it's probably on the other side.
Oh, okay.
We went to Montezuma, which is just right on. As soon as you cross the bridge, you're in that little town called Montezuma.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rockville's next. I think it's Park County.
Yeah, Park County, Rockville, Indiana. We had plot days there one year too. Yeah,
we have all the covered bridges. They have that big covered bridge festival there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've told my wife about that. We both back in the day enjoyed reading, or I introduced her to it, a book called Bridges in Madison County, and there was later a movie with Streep and I don't remember who was, Redford in there. I don't know. This ain't no daggone movie review here. It doesn't matter. But anyway, we always thought we'd like to go there. And there's a lot of covered bridges in that country between Greencastle going west toward the river, Yeah.
Yeah, my buddy lives in, I think it's Vermilion County, which is right across the river from Montezuma. There's a little town called Dana, and then I think Clinton will be the next little town there. But we usually, if we get a motel, we stay in Paris, Illinois.
Oh yeah, got a good friend there, Jeff Wood. Do you know Jeff Wood, the black and tan guy?
I've not met him, but when I used to go up there years ago, he kept his dogs out at I think it was his dad's place. I think he must have lived somewhere, but Marshall actually hunted with him some, and we stop and look at his dogs about every time I go up there.
Yeah, Jeff's had some good black and tans over the years. In fact, I don't know if he is currently or not, but I believe so. He's the sheriff of that county there.
I think
or so. He was.
But last year, not this year, but I called him and we was going to try to get together for breakfast, but we couldn't get our schedules to work out. But I talked to him on the phone there for a while. I was wanting to meet him, but maybe somewhere down the road we don't.
You won't find a finer fella, Jerry.
Yeah.
Top drawer all the way. Yeah, I usually get to visit with Jeff at Autumn Oaks, and we always have a good time. And I always recall some hunts that I had in that area. I remember one night, this fellow named Bernie Steele used to have plots. His wife Wilma was the treasurer of the Plot Association for several years, and their son Wayne has shown plot dogs, real successful with them. But Bernie was quite a character, and we were on a cast together. I believe it was the all plot hunt, and I believe it was Jeff that guided us that night. But we got after a coon in a little old cornfield. It wasn't very big, but man, that coon wore their dogs out in that cornfield. Yeah. They couldn't get him out of there. And I had to get back. I had to get back to the grounds. I had to work for UKC the next day. And I think Bernie and those guys stayed in there and ended up treeing that coon or a coon. I don't know which. But, man, it was hot. Oh, my gosh, it was hot. First week in August in that country, it really warms up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are you planning to go to the Winter Classic? The UKC Winter Classic's coming up here just 2 or 3 days after this podcast is going to drop. We're going to drop this one on the 3rd of February, which will be for us as we're talking next Monday. But the dates are February 5 through 8 in Batesville. Are you going down?
No, I don't guess I'll get to go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to go to the plot days in Greenville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Been making some dog leads, so I'll have some there. So.
Well, I just talked to my buddy Mark Miller. Of course, you know Mark. You've met Mark, I believe, and he's got he messed up on the dates. Did they move the dates this year of breed days, make them earlier or later?
I don't know. I just saw where they posted it on Facebook.
Right. Well, apparently his family has planned a function. His wife cleared it with him, and he said, "Oh yeah, go ahead. That date's good." And then he finds out it's the same weekend. I do think he's planning to come over on Friday for the meeting and the dinner and so forth. He'll be in the area. But yeah, I'm planning to make that one too, and hope to. I'll bring old Boo, my traveling plot dog, with me, and hope to have some fun. Maybe let him play some of the games or whatever up there. But yeah, that's always a good time. That American Plot Association days. In Greenville, and I questioned whether they'd be able to hold it, given, that Chucky River through there was one of those bad flood areas,
Yeah, I wanted the same thing.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything one way or the other, and that, so they're going ahead with it, so it must be okay, I guess.
Yeah, it must be.
All right, well, since I last talked, I had a little subject I wanted. You sent me a video today that I'm still laughing about, these comedians. Country comedy is something that's always amused me. We mentioned Jerry Clower earlier, and of course I used to listen to Jerry. I had a cassette tape of his jokes or programs or his records, whatever you want to call them, or 2 or 3 of them actually in my truck. And when I lived in Michigan for years, out in the way of the woods, I'd play that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was as funny the 10th time as it was the first time.
I'm hungry. Podcast. I listen to a lot of them. Going back and forth to work. I got about a 30-minute commute to work, so
yeah.
Monday morning I listen to yours. Wednesday morning I listen to Heath. They're usually on there.
Yeah.
When I go in, and then sometime or other I try to listen to I forgot his name. Clay Newcomb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Clay's a great storyteller, and anything that he has on there is interesting for sure.
Yeah. This last series he did, was on the tobacco wars over at Western Kentucky. It's pretty interesting.
There's a coon hunter, Whitey Marshall. Do you know Whitey?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he lives over there around Greenup, Kentucky.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid coming up and all, I discovered the books of Jesse Stewart. Did you ever read any of Jesse's books?
No.
Jesse Stewart was a school teacher over there in the hills of Kentucky, and he wrote his stories based on, that area. Tremendous stories, and they were especially good for younger readers, I think. Maybe not kids, but, maybe if you don't want to get into, tackling war and peace or something like that, but you just like to be a recreational reader and catch some good stories. The stories that Jesse Stewart wrote were exceptional, and he wrote a lot about the fox hunter, tobacco farmer wars in his part of Kentucky, where the foxhounds would run through the tobacco fields and I guess we break down the stalks or whatever.
Probably tear the leaves off.
Tear the leaves off, okay. And so they would shoot the foxhounds, and then the fox hunters would burn down the tobacco barns. And
Yeah.
was that similar to what Clay was talking about?
Well, Clay's, I knew about the tobacco wars in Western Kentucky over around, I think, Hopkinsville and
Okay.
that area. They grow that, the dark fire tobacco where they hang the tobacco in the barns and then they build the fires underneath it, kind of smoke it.
Is that different from burley tobacco?
It is.
Okay.
Barley is you just hang it in the barn and let it iron dry.
Right. Okay.
That gives the tobacco a lot of flavor, and it's worth more. Of course, it's more labor intense too. But
yeah.
But anyway, it was all about there was a tobacco company that was buying the tobacco, and they just cut the price of it so low, and then so they got an association and built it together, and the farmers did, and anybody that sold to them, they was like doing some bad stuff to them.
I got you. Oh,
it got pretty rough.
So it really didn't involve hounds then.
No, nothing to do with hounds.
Yeah. Well, the stories that Jesse Stewart wrote were really. There was one called High, I guess like HYE, high, like a greeting, hi to the hunters. He wrote one about a family that moved in when summer school let out for summer. A family moved in the schoolhouse, squatters like, and that was called. I believe that one was called Taps for Private Tussey. He had gone around way to war and was killed. But anyway, it's just very much. What's the word I want to say? It's Americana, from that part of the world. And of course, my grandparents came from eastern Kentucky, a little farther down south, My grandparents were born there around where Loretta Lynn came from. Well, I think my grandpa was from Floyd County, maybe. But anyway, yeah, I always enjoy anything to do with the hounds and the foxhounds. I read everything I could ever find about the Walker family and the development of the Walker dogs, the foxhounds, and all that good stuff. But yeah.
That conflict, it's it seems like pick your side, but you kind of got to view what the other side's thinking sometimes too, because it's like they had a group called the Night Riders that were going and they would burn people's tobacco barns, and even in some cases they would take them out and whip them. And I mean, it got really serious, so so you think about the tobacco guys, the farmers were, that was their livelihood. So, they were pretty serious about it. And it, they said it, it made a difference whether their kids had shoes to wear or not. So, got to feel like tobacco. So.
Yeah. The history of this country is not all roses.
No.
And a lot of things, we think about the American Indian and all of that. I go out to Arkansas each year and hunt that Arkansas Delta. And just south of there is a little town called Ethel.
Yeah, I've been there.
You've been to Ethel? Yeah. Have you hunted there?
Yeah, just a little.
What's the fame? There's a famous musician from there. He's died now and all. That was the drummer for the group called The Band.
I couldn't tell.
And why does this? Memory is not kind to a person of my age. Okay. I'll think of his name just in a second. just was talking to somebody, my brother, about him the other day. But anyway, they had a huge racial war in Ethel, Arkansas.
Really?
And several people, I'm thinking like around 100 people or something were killed. And of course, you go out to that area now and you don't see any trace or sign of anything like that, you know. But the history, when you start peeling back the layers, you know, you can get into some really hairy stuff, you know. But
yeah, I know. There's always, you know, two sides to everything. They say,
yeah,
and the truth somewhere in the middle. So
yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
it's not everything's, you know, not everything's black and white. You know, when I was growing up, you know, we always watched westerns, and you always knew, you know, the bad guy and the good guy.
Yeah,
You always knew. But,
yeah.
you know, you get older and you can't, you know, you can't really distinguish sometimes if it's the good guy
No,
or the bad guy. So,
not at all. And my wife and I like to watch these whodunits on TV, you know, and we'll watch old series like
yeah,
Perry Mason and Ironsides and Barnaby Jones and
Rockford Files.
Rockford File. Yeah, that was a good one, a real good one. James Gardner. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, there's always another side to the story. It's like I often say about my years of answering questions when I was with the registry. Someone would come in and tell me their side, and I'd say, well, buddy, if everything happened exactly like you said, I'm with you, man. You're right on. But there's 3 other guys on that cast that I need to talk to before I buy your story. So, well, we mentioned my friend Heath, our mutual friend Heath, and he was kind of roasting me the other day on the podcast talking about his trip to the Grand American. Did you hear that? Did you listen to that one?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what he said.
He was giving me a hard time for liking the Cracker Barrel. Said he couldn't get me out of the Cracker.
Yeah, of course he didn't care anything about that Cracker Barrel, did he?
Oh no! I didn't see him. It wasn't nothing.
Always had a cup of coffee.
It wasn't nothing but a flurry over there across the table, elbows. Here's a funny little story. Maybe not funny, but it's one of my memories. I went to the AKC, and we started up the coonhound program that had kind of fallen by the wayside. And one of the things that AKC does is they have apprenticeship programs for young people in the dog world. If they want to come and work their summer at AKC, you know, they can do so. And they get, I guess, I don't know, that goes probably toward their college credit and all that. Because I know my son had an apprenticeship when he was in college. Well, anyway, this young man that was my apprentice, they assigned him to the coonhound department, and he was from up east, and his family had collies. They had shown collies in AKC for many years and had some terrific dogs. He was a great guy, a great addition to our department. But I remember taking him out there, not far from that Wabash River where we just talked about, to Brazil, Indiana, for that Youth World event that they have out there. It's UKC, Elwood, Simmons out there, and those group there from Brazil put that thing on, and he had a ball. I got to take him on his first coon hunt and all that. Okay, cut to the chase. At the end of the apprenticeship program, the apprentice has to give a report before the management committee at AKC, that all the department heads and so forth. And so he had prepared a nice PowerPoint presentation and all. And as he got up to give his talk, he said, well, the first and most important thing that I learned with my apprenticeship with the coonhound program is that Mr. Fielder loves Cracker Barrel. Everywhere we went, we were eating in Cracker Barrel, and that was, of course, him being from up east. He wasn't too familiar with them, but yeah, it's always been a favorite of mine. And Heath, I owe him. He's talking about me not getting him a table, having a table ready at the banquet, and this and that. But what goes around comes around. I'll have a Heath. Well, Wes Woodyard and I had a little bit of a Heath roast, but we were too kind to him.
Wes was way too kind for him. I can't believe Wes didn't really cut loose. Because he does when he's face to face, he does.
Right. Well, that group over there, as you found out when you went, and I know that you were on the podcast with Heath and all, but my listeners may not have heard. You guys, did you meet down there at the APA days a couple years ago? Or did you? Yeah.
Yeah. It'd been, almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, be 3 years this coming. Yeah.
Yeah, this coming. So, you had tried to get me hooked up with somebody to go bear hunting. Of course, I didn't know it was Heath, but I kind of thought it was too. But I was down there. Me and my wife was up there by the fire, where the and this guy come up behind me and he started talking, and I turned around and I thought, that's Heath Hyatt. I knew by his voice,
yeah,
on the podcast. So I went over and introduced myself, which is something I never do. But anyway, we got to talking. He's been super, super accommodating to me. Anytime I want to come, he says, if you want to come, just come. So, and I've took advantage of it. So.
Well, he's always been that way with me too, Jerry. And I had to. He got me on another one talking about the raccoon trying to run up my leg.
Yeah.
And that part was okay. I could buy that, but the part where he said I had OCD, that's the one I'm going to get him for.
Yeah.
But that
might have been yesterday. I talked to him a day or two ago, and I'm planning on trying to go back. I'm gonna go and kill season this year, I think.
Yeah, get you one.
I don't care anything about killing nothing. I don't care anything about killing a bear, but I kind of like just be there when it's
yeah, it's a great time, and the only
serious.
Yeah, the only reason that I haven't been the last couple of years is that I know I'm taking up a seat in the hunting vehicle, maybe for somebody that can get out there and run into a tree or whatever, because those days for me are pretty much over in those mountains. I can go to a tree if it's not too bad, but I'm not going to be the first one there, I'll tell you. But the last time I went up with Heath, and we killed some bear, and I got my turn at helping drag one out and all that kind of stuff. That was more for my benefit than anything else, I think. But he's always been very, very accommodating to me and providing a place to stay and all. Of course, he and I worked together on those Freedom Hunters hunts where we took, the first one. Well, two of them, Heath and I worked together on the boys. And when I say Heath, you've got to meet that whole crew there. Wes, mentioned Wes, and I'm going to get in trouble if I try to start naming all of them. But just a great bunch of guys up there that do it the right way, do it the right way. They don't have any agenda. And you talk to Heath, and he's concerned about the bear population because some of the guys are not, they're taking too many female bears and they're killing their sport. And they're just, it's so foolish to do that. But anyway, Heath and I, those stories about him just dropping in on me up there in Michigan or calling me at a few hours notice and say, I'm on the way up. I've been to Timbuktu, and I want to stop by. Now, you understand if you're coming from Missouri to Virginia, Michigan is not on your way.
I can't imagine him when he was young. He just seems to me like he's just like a Energizer bunny.
Man.
I don't know how he does what he does.
I don't either. But that's Heath, Yeah.
I used to do a lot, I guess, similar stuff, but I can't do it now. I run out of energy. But man, he's always going on the road. Seems like always.
Yeah, well, if there was a bear dog out in Montana, hey, let's go to Dale Cameron's. Or even I didn't go with him, but he'd jump in that old blue Chevy, And I saw a truck on TV yesterday. I told my wife, I said, Dad, looks like Heath's old truck right there, only it's in a whole lot better shape. Nah, boy. Well, I'm going to title this podcast "Just Gone to the Dogs with Good Old Boys," And Jerry, that's what my friendship base has been over the years. Just a whole lot of good old boys. The kind, as a guy once told me, he said, you can judge a guy by whether you'd want to climb in the truck and drive 500 miles with him or not,
Yeah, good thing.
And that's certainly it. Well, you went then during training season when you went over and hunted with Heath.
Yeah, I've been 2 years of training season.
Okay, yeah.
This past year was pretty tough. The weather didn't cooperate with us very well, and I just saw one bear, and I went to hunt 3 days. I think we just hunted 2 days, and one day was rainy, and it was just the weather. You can't control the weather, so. But we had a good time anyway. I got to hang out quite a bit with Wes and get to know him.
Wesley Woodyard, he's the deer tracker now,
Yeah, he's kind of seems to me like he could probably just do anything he wanted to do,
He's a consummate sportsman. He'll do it all. He killed an elk in Virginia, of all places.
Talented guy.
Oh, yeah. Great family. And, Barrett, that little boy, he's going to make a bear hunter, too, I'll bet you.
He's live wire.
Oh, yeah. When we did the Freedom Hunters hunt, was doing a lot of pictures, and we had Bryce Matthews over to do the video for us. That was the first one we did. And Barrett, he's standing up there in his dad's lap with both hands on the wheel. He's bear hunting big time. And he couldn't have been a year and a half, maybe 2. I don't know. But yeah.
Bryce had Wes on the podcast. Did you listen to it?
Who?
Bryce Matthews. He had Wes on the podcast.
Did he recently? Yeah, I haven't listened to that. He's on the same network here on the W Hunting Supply Network that we're on here. And I try to listen to Heath's stuff. I always kid him. I said, well, you remember when the first podcast you were ever on, don't you? And he said, yeah, I was right here in my living room. Yeah, and I was green at it, too, trying to get the equipment to work and all. But it's been a process. It's hard for me to believe it's been 5 years that I've been doing these podcasts now. And you wonder, a guy my age, just how long, will I have the desire to continue. But, as long as I get opportunities to have good conversations, like we're having today, I'll probably stick with it, but who knows? But it's good to know guys like Heath that are doing it, and the fellow that I have on this week, Brad Hall, is coming out with a new podcast. He'll be working with Chris Powell on that over on another platform, but I like the idea. Huh?
I said I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. Yeah, that's something that interests me a lot, and I enjoy listening to the Phil Robertson, the Duck Dynasty podcast Phil has one with Jace and Alan, his sons, and then Cy Robertson has the Duck Room, and I think they call it the Duck Blind. Is that it, the Duck Room or something? I don't know, but anyway, they incorporate the gospel message into their podcasts, and I appreciate that a lot. So
yeah, right. Yeah, I don't talk about my faith enough, but it's
we don't. We don't. Bear hunter Scott McLaughlin from over in Virginia posted an excellent post today on Facebook. And look up Scott, and you'll see the post, a young lady talking about meeting an older woman in a grocery store. And I won't say any more about it, but it's absolutely phenomenal. And it kind of speaks to that about, are we listening, when God directs us to somebody,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the Winter Classic a little bit. Now, I usually go down. I can't say usually, but fairly often. I'm getting some kind of feedback on this phone, and I'll apologize to the listeners because I think it's something in the signal, but there's a scratching noise that's coming through, and it might just be something we're going to have to live with, Jerry. But it almost. I know it's not on your end. It's not on mine. It's just something on the line, so to speak. But I hope that Colby Moorhead, when he produces this one, he can get rid of some of that. But if not,
APA Day last year.
You did what? You met Colby? Oh, cool.
Colby down at Greenville.
Yeah. Colby, of course, is the owner and publisher of Bear Hunting Magazine. He's also my boss. I do an article for him each issue called Legendary Bear Hounds or Legendary Bear Dogs. I don't remember which. Yeah. But, and that gives me...
He bought a couple of dog leads, and I bought a Slewfoot hat off of him. So.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And I renewed my membership, or not my membership, but my subscription while I was down there, too.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. These publications nowadays, with the cost of printing anything, is very, very high. And I know that was one of the deciding factors when Terry Walker decided not to publish the American Cooner and Full Cry anymore. And a lot of people, didn't understand that or weren't happy with that. But, just the cost of printing and the ink and everything else that goes into it is, of course, it's a digital thing now and all, but it has to go to a printer and it has to be mailed. And, just little things like, I sell books and the price, I get a special media rate if it's just printed matter and no advertising inside. I can ship that thing at what's called media rate. Well, that's gone up well over $1 per book since I've started shipping them, and no end in sight. So all that's very, very expensive. So these guys like Colby, and also Danny and Jason Doobie out there with Full Cry Magazine, they need our support. We enjoy those magazines. We need to get off our pocketbooks, off our billfolds, and write that check. If nothing else, you're doing it to promote and continue your sport. Plus, you get a good product. I enjoy the stories. Full Cry has really improved a lot in my view. It'll never be the old one where I can sit back and read O.L. Beckham and some of those people again. But the stories are good, the writers are good, the photos are good. It's a slick publication. The same goes for Bear Hunting Magazine. And there's more and more hound content in there each month. So I'll get off the sales stump, but you need to subscribe to those magazines. You really do.
Yeah.
Well, last year I was privileged to judge the top 10 Coonhound Bench Show at the Winter Classic. And that's a situation where they have 3 judges. And all the dogs that were in the top 10 lists for each of the breeds are invited. And then so you get to look at all those great dogs. And each of the judges gets to judge them individually. You know, they have like 3 different rings. And so I enjoyed doing that a lot. But I'm not doing anything like that this year. And that's quite a drive for me out there. It's about 100 miles less than my trip to White River each year. So I'm going to kind of pass on it this year. I guess Autumn Oaks will be the next. Well, breed days. I'm going to breed days. But
I see you've been hunting quite a bit.
well, I've been hunting. Yeah. Well, if you count the fall, I did. I went up to Randy Smith's and hunted 7 nights in a row. That's pretty good for an old codger.
Yeah.
But I'll have to confess, most of that was with my butt firmly planted in the seat of Randy's side by side, which is nice. And but no, had a great time. Always have a great time when I go up there. They treat me like family, and if you get a chance to go hunt with Randy Smith, you're going to enjoy it. Of course, you're going to enjoy the great dogs that he's got. He has some really nice hounds, and that's always fun. We predominantly hunted 2 this year, 2 females, and then of course he's been working with Clayton Stark, and Clayton's been putting some work on some young dogs for him, and that's working out great. And so there's that aspect, and then there's just being there around the Smith family. They're just so amazing, you know. And his mother's been in the hospital. She had to have surgery, and I think she's probably home if she didn't come home today. But anyway, yeah, I went up there, did that for 7 nights, and flew up. Randy picked me up at the Pittsburgh airport and took me back, so you can't beat a deal like that. And then I, of course, went to the White River again. And you probably heard the podcast about my trip out there. Have you hunted the White River Refuge, Jerry?
Yeah, I've been down, I don't know, I've been down there 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
My buddy he's since passed away, but Billy Johns from over at Franklin, Kentucky, he's about 2 hours west of me. I used to go over and spend the weekend with him and hunt. So, but
awesome.
he found out about the White River from J.C. Ellis.
Yeah.
Him and J.C. were kind of buddies, and J.C. had 2 houses down there.
You know? Right.
And he told us we could stay in one, or he told Billy, but we never did go stay in the house, but we went by there.
Mm-hmm.
But we went, the first year we went down in January. We hunted like the last 2 or 3 nights of the season, or not the last 2 or 3 nights that the refuge was open.
Right.
North.
Yeah.
And we treated several coons, but I had a pretty good dog at that time. So that makes a big difference.
Big difference.
The last time I went down, we didn't do as good. But, you know, it seems like it's kind of hit or miss down there. It seems like there's always, you know, something that's pushes them out at the water, or the acorns maybe, or anywhere else. If you got to know where you got to know how to find them. So.
Well, that's it. You got to kind of expand your knowledge of the areas. You know, one thing that helped me, and I didn't use it as much this year, but I kind of took a real low-key approach this year because I just had a pup with me. And I just kind of wanted him to get the experience of getting out and getting around other dogs and riding in the buggy and all that kind of stuff. So I just kind of, went along with the flow. But the year before, I used my Onyx map app, and that was a big help to me in finding new areas and all. For the majority of my years, we hunted the north unit and really only hunted the south unit. Usually maybe we'd catch a day or two that it would be open. And at the 1st of December, before we had to come home. And so I hunted up around what they call Indian Bay up there off Highway 1 and that. But, it's been, as you said, sketchy. The early years, the first few years I went there, it was pretty incredible. It seemed like, the water cooperated pretty good, and there were more hunters back then, but it was a better experience, quality experience, I think, than it has been for the last couple of years. But that might be part the fact that I'm just not getting out there finding places that I want to go. And of course, Nubbin and I pretty much stick together. We're the senior members of our party out there, and we've still got some guys that are young enough that really want to go. And I don't want to interfere with them. Let them do their thing. Randy Smith is out there, the Mississippi Randy, and I will send condolences to Randy. I heard this week, Nubbin told me that Randy got his good young black and tan dog, Hangman, killed on the road at a hunt last weekend. And man, I hate that. I didn't actually get to hunt with Hangman on this last hunt, but he was there in camp. I certainly saw the dog. I know Randy had high hopes for him, and I think was looking forward to raising some pups out of him. So heartfelt condolences to my buddy Randy Smith. He's one of the best dog men I know. He is absolutely a hunter. Randy is tough as they come. He fought a battle with. Pardon?
I've heard his name, mentioned,
Yeah,
with the black dogs.
Well, he likes to get a good one and put the time in on him, and then he sold some for some pretty salty figures over the last few years. But you get a dog that Randy Smith's kept very long and hunted very long, you can bet it's going to be a coon dog. And so anyway, just always hate that. That seems like such a waste. When we get a good dog killed on the road. Do you ever have one killed on the road?
I've been lucky. I never have.
Yeah. Well, I was. Yeah. Well, some
people, when they got them, ran over a couple guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was talking the other day with somebody about hunting in Michigan, and probably was talking to Mark Miller up there in North Carolina, but my buddy John Kripe in Michigan, we went out on a bad night. We shouldn't have been out, but cabin fever was getting the better of us, and it was about 20 degrees. And, the snow was piled up along the roadways. The dogs basically had to stay in the road, to hunt. So that was all on us, and we ended up getting a couple of dogs killed that night. And I've been on casts and so forth where dogs got killed. It's never a good thing. I had a good little plot female killed in North Carolina. She was doing what she shouldn't have been doing. She was running a deer. But she was doing a monkey see, monkey do with a couple other dogs, and she didn't get across the road. They did, but she didn't. So it's a But I think the dog of Randy's would go hunting. I'm sure he would, or Randy wouldn't have had him. And I guess he got on that Route 4 there out of that Senatobia, Mississippi area there where Mike Crockett lives.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where he got killed. But really hated to hear that one.
Yeah, these long range dogs, I guess they just kind of get road wise. They have to.
Well, they'd have to. You know, I saw that one time. I had a dog named Bronco. And he was the third dog the night up in Michigan where John Cripe and I got 2 dogs killed. Bronco was the one that survived. But I've seen him crossing a road, and when he come up to a road, he'd stop and look. It's like he recognized that there was a danger on that pavement somehow. I don't know. I don't know if he's that smart or not, but it sure seemed to me like that's what he was doing, you know. But
yeah, you're talking about the White River. You actually gave me the name of a guy, and we stayed in his trailer down there, John Storch.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
And he was going to take us hunting, but he had, I think it was his grandson was having surgery.
Oh,
so we didn't get to go hunting with him. But
mm-hmm.
he left us a key for a gate. Y'all probably hunted there, not far from his trailer.
Yeah,
and
yeah, there on. Yeah,
there's a deer hunter there, and he didn't think we should be in there. But
yeah.
We had a key for the gates, you know. So I don't know. We just hunted there one night, so we didn't go back. But I don't know what the confusion was between him and John. But
yeah. John is a fellow we met after we started going out there. He's a commercial fisherman. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah, we was at the Welcome Center there, and he's got a big alligator gar. I don't know if you ever saw it. Have you ever saw it?
No. They're at the White River Refuge?
On the refuge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been in that building, but I guess I just didn't pay attention.
There's a big alligator gar on the wall, and it says "Caught by John Storch," and I think it's a state record.
Wow. Yeah. Well, he's an Iron Man. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll be out there in a T-shirt when I got all the clothes I own on, trying to stay warm. Oh yeah. In fact, we've hunted out of his boat before.
Yeah. I'd like to go to hunt with him, but he didn't. It just didn't work out.
Yeah. He's got a little black and tan female named Maggie. And she don't hunt. She don't hunt very hard, but she'll beat your eyes out if you set her down in coons. You just walk her around, she'll find them now. I'm telling you, she's good. And she's the one that Fever thought that she was his girlfriend last year down there. Yeah. Thank goodness she was right at the end, apparently, of her cycle, and she didn't have any pups, and it was his first time, too. So, but, but I think he took care of that. I think he spayed her. He said he didn't want any pups and didn't want to fool with pups. But, John, he comes by. We kid him. He always shows up at supper time, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah, he is for sure. Yeah. Well, that's just another one of those good old boys, as we were talking about, that you meet in this sport. And John doesn't.
I love going down to ABA days, breed days, because I just like being around those old bear hunters. I don't know what it is. Just
absolutely.
It reminds me when I was a kid, and you go around the dog traders, and that's they just be there just talking dogs and that.
Oh yeah. Well, you can certainly run into several of them there, and that was something that my dad always enjoyed doing. The boys, and thanks to them, they were good to him. Guys like Dale Burnsides and John Harris and different ones there in West Virginia would take my dad down to breed days when it was too much of a drive for him to do, by himself. And he went down for years, and that's where he went. Why he went is to sit and talk to Roy Clark and Ira Jones.
I met Roy. I met
yeah.
Roy down, and I could sit and listen to him all day long.
Oh, yeah. I love to. He won't get mad at me, but now, Steve, they run that bar plumb all across the Gulf, and they fit that thing from daylight till dark. Ain't that Roy?
That's Roy, exactly.
Roy is a jewel, man. He's a national treasure.
Yeah,
And Clay Newcomb has captured a lot of hunts and recording, and God bless him for doing it. And my friend Mark pardon?
That's how I knew Roy. I listened to him on the podcast, on Clay's podcast, and I saw him down there. And so when as soon as I saw him, I recognized him. So I went over and talked to him.
Very accommodating fellow. And his dad, Hugh L. Clark, was a bear hunter too, and Roy grew up hunting. Now, Hugh L. and Roy are two totally different guys, But, that's the beauty of that APA days. And God bless the American Plot Association for putting that thing on. I know it's hard. I saw this will bring up something here, a little can of worms. But, I see people getting on Facebook and so forth and pounding the association. Where's my yearbook? Where's my yearbook? Those yearbooks I've edited 2 of them in my life. And the last one I did, I think it was maybe 2016 or 18, something like that. It's a lot of work, a heck of a lot of work. You got to get all the hunt results in from all the sectional hunts. You got to spell all the names right and all the dogs' names right. And you get poor quality pictures. Or you don't get pictures and you have to beg for them and you have to run around all over the country trying to find them. And so anyway, I would be in favor of just doing away with the yearbooks and let the associations publish a nice website with all that information where people can just go in and click. Now, for collectors like me, I have 2 complete sets of the MPHA yearbooks dating all the way back to the very first one. And one was my set, and one after my dad died, I've kept his going. I've purchased a book each year to continue his set. Yeah. And they're treasures, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them ultimately. And I get that. For collectors and all, they're neat. But it's such a drain on the treasury and on manpower, and it's getting so hard to find somebody that has the time and the experience to do that kind of thing. Because you got to get everything laid out, for the printer. You've got to get, work with the printer constantly to make sure you got to figure out your layout. Where do you want this to go? Where does that go? And it's a huge job. And there are some out there that just think, well, I paid my dues. Where's my book? Yeah. It's just going to appear, And I got news, folks. It don't happen that way.
Well, there was a huge crowd down there last year.
Oh yeah,
it was bigger than the previous year, and I'm sure they made some money off the admission there. But it was a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't get to go last year. I went the year before, and so I heard something come through there. Was that on your end or my end?
I heard it. I don't know what it
said
was.
Something about 2 p.m., and I don't have a clue what that is. But well, we've been at it about a year. We've been at it an hour now, Jerry. But Would you have a hunt you remember from this last year? Anything that happened that was interesting?
Well, not really.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've not hunted a lot. I did go to a couple of meat hunts, and
Yeah.
I'm not really big on meat hunts, but went to 2 or 3 last year, so we've been to 2 this year so far. I don't know. I won a little money. I think I won, I don't know, like $240 at the first one.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, it's it makes it a little interesting when you win some money.
Well,
But it's just something to do, I guess. But they have quite a few of them around here anymore.
yeah, I've seen that, and and I'm probably going to make a mistake here, but I think they've kind of got away from just giving the prize to the biggest coon. Don't they do it like a drawing type thing?
Most
Like,
of it, it's just luck of the draw.
yeah, say if you've got 10 pounds and
Yeah,
and they pull out 10 pounds out of the hat or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time they don't even. Well, they will weigh them. Sometimes they'll have a side pot on the biggest and the littlest one. And my little nephew, I think he just turned 9, but last year he likes to go with us. I mean, he likes to shoot whatever. He got hung up shooting those coons out, and we went to a meat hunt, and he had a pretty good sized coon, but man, he thought he was going to win a big coon, and it was almost to the last one, and this guy brings in a 20-pounder.
Uh-oh.
But this other guy had this little bitty coon, and it was tiny. I don't know. I can't remember what it weighed, but he still laughs about that every time we go coon hunting. He'll bring that little coon up. He said, "You remember when that guy brought that little coon?"
That impressed him, didn't it? His was a whole lot bigger than that one.
It
Wasn't
was a whole lot bigger.
Yeah. Well, my buddy Keston Jesse over in Virginia's kind of quit on me. I don't know. Keston, has a young family and a lot of things going on, but he sold his dog out there to your country. Have you heard anything about him?
I haven't. I've been thinking about calling Sean and asking him about him. I may try to go over and hunt with him. I always kind of want to hunt with that dog anyway. But,
I really like that dog. I called him the raccoon vending machine. Just flip him out there, and and I don't know, for Sean's purposes, he moves in some pretty fast circles. With that screamer female he hunts as a half sister, to Clyde, and Clyde's the dog that Keston raised up by himself. He got him from Randy Smith. He was out of Sean's Coon Valley pack dog, and Randy's oh shoot, I can't think of her name right now. What's wrong with me? Anyway, Randy Smith's female, and I think Keston got to thinking, well, Sean will do a lot better by the dog than I'm doing, So he let him go, but he's a good one. So
he's a great place to get hunted.
Oh, I imagine. So it'd be interesting to me to hear any news. If you hear anything, let me know. I'm just interested. That's all. Yeah. Well, Jerry, we've kind of been at it here for a better part of an hour and 5 minutes. I don't have any revelations to leave with you, any resolutions for the new year. I quit doing those years ago because I never did keep them.
Yeah.
And I'm getting too old to worry about that stuff anymore. But Lord willing, I'll be seeing you at Greenville, Tennessee in March.
Yeah, I hope I can get a.
And I'm going to bring old Boo with me, and hopefully Boo, I'll be interested to see what he thinks about that bear. Of course, it's a fake bear; it's not a real one, but want to see what he thinks about that. I'm having fun with him, and we're starting to hunt him a little bit down here. Our weather's been good, and so all that, getting reports back on these puppies. that the boys have raised. They raised some pups last summer, and they're all in various stages of starting right now at 6 months old. So that's looking pretty good.
Yeah, looks like he's going to reproduce.
I'm sure hoping so, Jerry. I really am. Before I let you go, what are you hunting right now yourself? What you got out there?
About the only thing I got that is, consistent is a little Walker female. She's coming 4.
Yeah.
She's out of her mother was directly out of Mr. Clean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, wait a minute. No, that's not right.
Big
What's
D?
the dog that won the world championship? The little house-bred dog. I can't think of his name. Mr. Clean's not the.
Okay.
Who hunted Mr. Clean?
Brian Whitted. Well, I think maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Clean.
Okay.
He was a little house-bred dog.
Yeah, white, open spotted dog. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's his mother or my dog's mother was directly out of her or him, and then her daddy was I think his name's like Chuck Cliver or something like that. He's bred like he's got the parapack.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He's a power bred dog. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chuck Cliver was hunted a lot of the Bellabred stuff, like Larry Meeks used to like to hunt. And my mind today, I don't know what's going on with me. Mike Gilbert's buddy,
Yeah.
Mike and Chuck hunted together a lot. And back in the PKC days, Chuck was a mechanic. He worked for Gibco Motor Express, Larry Meeks' company. Great guy. And I assume he's still hunting. I don't know. But somebody named their dog after him, apparently.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the bottom side of her sire is some of Mike's stuff, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike had a dog that called Doctor.
Okay.
That shows up. That's what I think. Buckwheat dog that JC and
Jimmy.
Yeah, what was the guy? Jimmy.
Yeah. Well, he was a Burden, but he wasn't related to Scott and
right.
Bobby and those guys.
Yeah, there were three of those brothers that hunted, but Jimmy hunted the buckwheat dog.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was out of Doctor, but anyway, my buddy that I was telling you about in Indiana, Marshall, he raised Doctor, and I think they sold him to Mike, maybe.
You know what I love to do, Jerry, is just like this, talking to you about this. Every part of the country has got groups of coon hunters and good dogs that may not have been on the covers of the magazines or may not have been, really, but everybody in that area knows them and recognizes them as being coon dogs.
Yeah.
And, and I think Kentucky probably more than anywhere else over the years, I think of that's those kinds of situations, whether I'm thinking about the English dogs, Eugene Boyd over there in the eastern part, or maybe northern Kentucky, or wherever, those little groups of these dogs, and you hear them come out and you say, well, no, I never really heard of this Doctor dog. But somebody did, and somebody in your area did, and that's a fairly common name around your place, I bet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, there's just those pockets around all over the country of people that are hunters, that have kept good dogs. I can think of them back in West Virginia. I got word here not too long ago that a fellow named Charlie Richmond died over there around Beckley where I was raised, and his hunting buddy was Jimmy, today, Jimmy Allen, but I shouldn't have recorded a podcast today. Somebody slipped me a Mickey or something here because my mind's not working. But no, those guys always had good dogs, and like I say, you didn't see them on the cover of American Cooner, but they were good dogs. And if you drew them on a night hunt, you'd find out how good they were, So
Marshall, he'd raised dogs for years. He would raise a litter or two every year, and he always liked to hunt females. He always kept females, and if he had a male dog, he was wanting to sell it usually.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like Randy Smith. He's got that profit dog, but he loves the females, and that's where he knows that's where the future lies. With raising those, keeping that female puppy and giving her every chance, and then down the road, there's so many more dividends that way. You get a dog you can hunt, you can win with it, and then you can raise puppies off of it, So, well, Jerry, I deeply appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. And yeah, man, it's fun to do this, and we'll let these folks listen in on our conversation. Just a couple of good old boys talking dogs. And hopefully we'll get to do that here in about another month in Tennessee.
Right.
So, yeah, man. Well, you be safe, Jerry. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, you too.
If you get to hunt with that old Clyde dog, let me know. Give him a pat on the head. I've been a few nights with him. Let me know how he's doing. All right, that's Jerry Barker from Nancy, Kentucky, one of the good old boys in this sport. And we're really glad to have you on, Jerry. And folks, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Gone to the Dogs, the Coon Hunters Podcast. We want to thank everyone that has patronized our sponsors, W Hunting Supply, Alpha Dog Nutrition, Zep Predator Calls. Just thank you so much, and until next time, we'll see you under the tree.